All right, everybody, not only are we not even close to a deal with Iran, it turns out we may be closer to a ground invasion of the country of Iran than we are to any sort of diplomatic end to this mess that Donald Trump and Netanyahu have gotten us into. Trump, for the past 5 days, has been saying that we are very close to reaching some sort of deal, even implying that Iran has agreed with most of his framework. Of course, Iranian officials have denied that negotiations are even happening at all. The actual reporting, what's likely happening is that there are some intermediary talks happening. A few countries are in between them, like Egypt. And then Donald Trump has every incentive to say, oh, we're winning this battle, even though he hasn't gotten anywhere. And Iran has every incentive to act like Trump is completely lying and there's nothing happening at all. It's likely somewhere in between, where Egypt and a few other countries like Oman are trying to figure out how to end this, because it is causing destruction and death across the Middle East, across the globe, and even inside the United States. Let's jump into the breaking news that we just got. Iran is mobilizing over 1 million fighters to respond to possible U.S. ground invasion. It's like there's two different realities here. It's the reality that MAGA universe is trying to create, whatever Trump says on any given day, that we've won, that it's over. And then there's the actual reality on the ground, that we're sending thousands of troops to the Middle East. We're asking for $200 billion to continue this war. Trump wants $200 billion more dollars, and Iran is mobilizing over 1 million fighters to respond to a possible U.S. ground invasion. I want to caveat and be clear, we don't actually know if these troops are going to invade. I'm not going to say with declarative certainty that there are troops going to invade Iran. We don't know right now. I don't even know if Trump knows. I don't know if this administration knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but looking at all of the signs, looking at all of the indicators, that is where it is headed. But to continue, Trump was giving an Oval Office presser today in which he essentially admitted that the deal has entirely blown up, that there was no deal, that this is all an absolute mess, and the war is going to continue to be extended. We are in a scary reality when the President of the United States every 3 days tries to declare victory in a war that is still ongoing, and then very clearly cannot find an off-ramp and is moving for an invasion. Watch this clip. And by the way, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed. We're getting closer and closer to 2 million subscribers, which will be a huge record for Gen Z-built independent media. So thank you all, and subscribe below.
And just so we set the record straight, because I've been watching the Wall Street Journal's fake news and all these stories that get printed like, oh, I want to make a deal. They are begging to make a deal, not me. They're begging to make a deal. And anybody that saw what was happening over there would understand why they want to make a deal. But they say, oh, we're not talking to them. Anybody would know that. And only a total fool. And they're not fools. They're very smart, actually, in a certain way. And they're great negotiators. I say they're lousy fighters, but they're great negotiators. They are begging to work out a deal. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. I don't know if we're willing to do that. They should have done that 4 weeks ago. They should have done it 2 years ago.
What do you mean you don't even know if you're willing to work out a deal? Here's the reality. I'm never going to play defense for the Iranian regime. They are sick and twisted. My policy advisor, Micah, he's Iranian American, and his family was beaten by the regime for no reason throughout their entire lives. It's sickening, but they did come to the table and reach a deal with Obama called the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and both sides were benefiting from this. Donald Trump tore that deal up. He nuked it, so to speak. He said, we're not going to follow through with this, and then he bombed them. He bombed them over and over. They have no incentive to play by the rules or to follow along when Donald Trump just bombs them. That is no way to negotiate, and Trump does not seem to understand that. To continue.
Or they should have done it when we first came into office, because 2 years ago they had free reign under Biden. Sleepy Joe, worst president in the history of our country. What he allowed to happen to our country at the borders, and even with a thing like this.
I just want to be able to
just so we set the
I just want to be able to pay for my groceries, man. He's ranting about sleepy Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't start an endless war in the Middle East. Joe Biden pulled us out of Afghanistan. Yes, it wasn't perfect. Yes, it was hard to pull out of Afghanistan, but he did it. Donald Trump is sending more people to the Middle East, using more money. And now people I know who just graduated college can't pay for their groceries or their rent. Many recent college graduates, especially young males, if you look at the studies, aren't able to get any sort of job for a year or two out of college, young women as well. But there's a new study showing that young dudes are finding jobs after college at lower rates than non-college graduates, meaning there's like no point. It creates these weird incentive structures where do you even go to college or not? People are struggling, and Trump is going to war saying this.
Good deal. The reason they want to make a deal is they have been just beat to shit.
Okay, if they've been beat to shit like Donald Trump claims, then why not escort any ships through the Strait of Hormuz? Not a single ship has been allowed through the Strait of Hormuz. Gas prices are spiking, and any negotiations that we've been close to reaching have been blown up. Now, I want to remind you, the reports are that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have pissed off the Iranians, and they don't want to deal with them anymore. Iran said it is done dealing with the two emissaries President Trump has tasked with leading negotiations in the Middle East. The country, which Trump began striking over 3 weeks ago, is not keen on any more attempts at negotiations with Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, or Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, both of whom were leading the nuclear negotiations with Iran before the war. Iran says it will only engage with Vice President J.D. Vance. They feel like they have been betrayed by Witkoff and Kushner, who have just led them along, basically led them on this entire time so Trump could continue striking. There are many theories that Donald Trump released his statement on Monday morning right before the markets to manipulate them, which I agree with, and then said, we're giving it 5 days because he was just waiting to do an invasion this weekend after markets closed. He's trying to have his cake and eat it too, enact his invasion, also not tank the markets in the process, even though they are currently tanking. Not that I care. Most Americans aren't affected by the markets, but that's the indicator that they like to use. And now we're flipping it back on them. And here's Trump bragging about a small present he got from Iran. Listen to this. He reveals the gift that he got.
We've done. We'll say, look, we have very substantial talks going on with respect to Iran.
He just said they may not even reach a deal, like a minute before this.
With the right people. You know, I told you about a present, right? Steve, can I reveal the present?
You can do anything you want.
Thank you. They said to show you the fact that we're real and solid and we're there. We're going to let you have 8 boats of oil. 8 boats. 8 big boats of oil. This was 2 days ago. And they'll sail up tomorrow. That was 3 days ago. And I didn't think much about it.
This is so dumb. So the gift was fixing 3% of a problem that we created. This is literally something that I call mission inversion. I don't know if this is a real thing, but we've been talking about mission creep on this show, how this mission has been expanding slowly. Now the mission has inverted and we're just trying to fix our original fuck up. Imagine that. Trump is bragging that Iran helped fix 3% of this massive, massive fuck up that we've used. To use Trump numbers, Trump percentages, we've effed up like 1,100% right now. Over and over and over, we have continued to strike while saying that we've won, while Iran continues to close the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump doesn't seem to understand that all of these things are contradictory. While this is happening, Trump's eyes and face are completely drooping. He's falling asleep. I don't have a lot of confidence in our commander-in-chief to continue to enact this war. Prices are rising. Tariffs did not help. Healthcare is shit for most Americans because of the ACA subsidies expiring. And what is Donald Trump doing? Falling asleep at cabinet meetings while his weirdos around him like Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio rant on. I love you all. We'll continue to cover this every single day. And double check to see if you're subscribed below. Sometimes YouTube accidentally unsubscribes people. Sometimes there are glitches. Help us get to 2 million subscribers. I love you all, and peace out.